Hello, I'm Matt and welcome to Badger Workshop. I've got a new Mitre Saw and need to make a stand for it, or a Mitre Saw station. I've got this saw because it takes up much less room than my old one, so I want my Mitre Saw station to kind of follow the same principle of taking up less room. I want it to be modular and I want it to be movable so it can be set up on different benches. This little DeWalt saw that I've gone for doesn't have rear facing rails, so it can be pushed up almost against the wall, taking up a lot less room. After I've had it for a while, I'll give you my thoughts on it. So first I'm making a base for the saw to go onto. It's the same width as my bench, which is 2 foot wide, and then it has overhangs on the front and the back so it hook over the bench. At the moment I've got 3 benches in the shop that are 2 foot wide, so it should work on any of them. The overhangs are glued on, but I'm also adding some screws for a bit of extra strength. Time for a test fit. So you can see it just hooks over the bench. It's just a snug fit, but it still slides along. I can position the saw on the base and push it back as far as I can, leaving enough room for the dust extraction hose to go on. Then I can mark out the holes where some bolts need to go to attach it to the base. I've got some M8 bolts for this, so I drill out some 8mm holes along those 4 marks. I need the nuts to be recessed in, so then I get a Forstner bit and just make a little recess for the nuts. With a bolt threaded through each hole, I can then get a washer underneath and then a nut and get it all tightened up. I think a lot of us in the UK have the problem of small workshops, and I know I shouldn't be moaning because mine is nowhere near the smallest. For me, a Mitre Saw is a tool I use all the time, but they take up a lot of room, so hopefully with this system, if I need the bench space, I can just lift the saw off. Also, if I want to work outside, like building a shepherd's hut, I can just set up the same stand but using the sawhorses. Now I've got a base for the Mitre Saw, I need something to support the workpiece to the left and the right of the saw. Another feature I really want is stop blocks. I make a lot of repeated cuts, and having a stop block set up really speeds things up. So I've measured how high the Mitre Saw is, including the base. And then I'm cutting a lot of pieces of wood down so that they're going to end up as high as the new Mitre Saw. Once I have all the pieces ripped down, I can cut them to length, but as I don't have the Mitre Saw set up, I'm going to use a Crosscut Sled. So to support the workpieces, it's going to be really simple, just a little box. And these, when they're put on the bench, should be the same level as the bed of the saw. These just get put together with some wood glue, and then I'm going to go back, drill and countersink some holes, and screw them together. In all, I made 4 of these, so I can have different configurations. You'll see them all at the end. But basically, I want 2 supporting pieces, which are going to be identical. And then 2 pieces with stop blocks on, which are going to have the stops on opposite sides to each other. Here's one of the supports on the bench, but I want it to work like a bench hook and have a little hook on the end. So I cut some bits down for that on the Crosscut Sled, and they can also get glued and screwed to all 4 pieces. Now, while I'm in the gluing and screwing mode, I'm going to add a little stop to 2 of them. Just 2 more bits of wood I cut to the same size as the hook pieces. But one's going to get attached back right to one of the supports and the other back left. That's the very simple setup done. So, as you can see, that hook's on. It can be slid along, so if I want the saw either end, I can, or move it to a different bench. I can add supports and stops. That was a stop, let's get a support, there you go. So I can have a support either side, or if I have really long work pieces and want to move the saw down to one end, I can have 2 supports on one side. Then I can add stop blocks wherever I want, which also adds some support, and I can just clamp them on to the front of the bench. So here I've got a left hand support on the left hand of the saw, but I could put the right hand support on the left hand side, if that makes sense, just so the supporting bit's nearer than the saw if I've got very short bits to cut. Here I just get a bit of wood and put it on a saw, just to demonstrate how wood goes on saws and up to stop blocks. But I'm sure you was going to get what I meant. So that's it all done, but only time will tell if this setup actually works for me or not. I'll let you know in the future if I'm happy with it. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe for more videos.